be able to change those sentences from active to passive wherein there are only transitive verbs. It actually emphasizes on the doer of the action and not on the receiver of the action or the object of the sentence. Only past tense like watched, danced, killed, all these words, they just take ed in the end and they change to past tense. Hello everyone, I am Dr. Shalini, Professor of English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. I welcome you all for yet another session of language component for 3rd SEM B.B.A. We'll be learning about what is an active voice. We are going to understand what is an active voice at first, then we'll understand what is a passive voice. Okay? So then we are going to understand why should we use this? Why and where are we going to use these voices? Like where should we use active voice? Where should we use passive voice? Okay, is it left to the speaker's discretion or what? We are going to understand about that. Then we'll also understand what are the rules for us to follow in order to change a sentence from active voice to passive voice. So these are the things we are going to understand in today's session. Okay, so let's begin our session. At first, we'll understand what is active and passive voice. Before this, let me just tell you, in the previous session, we learned about transitive and intransitive verbs, isn't it? We saw few sentences wherein there were transitive verbs, few sentences wherein there were intransitive verbs. But let me tell you, why did I teach that? I taught you that because you will be able to change those sentences from active to passive wherein there are only transitive verbs. Whenever there is an object to receive, then only you can change them from active to passive voice. So you must make sure before changing from active to passive, you must make sure whether the verb there in the sentence is transitive or not. Okay, if it is intransitive, please do not struggle and change it to passive voice. Just check, even in your question paper, if they give you any sentence without an object, you can write it just like that, that there is no object, hence it cannot be changed to passive voice. Okay, so only those sentences which have transitive verbs can be changed to passive voice. Okay, coming to this session about active and passive. First, let us understand what is active voice. Okay, there is a subject which is in the doer part of the sentence. Okay, if the subject in the sentence is the doer of the action, then it is called as active voice. So you know what is subject, what is verb and what is object, isn't it? Subject is the doer of the action. Okay, subject is the doer of the action. Then there will be verb. Okay, then there will be verb. Then there will be object. This is the receiver of the action. Okay, so this will be the receiver of the action. So here the cat is the subject. The cat is the subject. That means it is doing some action on the milk. That is the object. Okay, hence this is in active voice. Okay, whoever is doing the action, if that subject is the doer of the action, if that is in the subject part, then that sentence is said to be in active voice. The object obviously will be in the receiving end. So both these sentences are said to be in active voice. Okay, so going to passive voice, if at all the doer of the action. Okay, who has written the letter here? She has written the letter. So here she has written the letter, but though she is doing some action, this is not the subject. This is not the subject, whereas it is the object. Okay, so whoever does the action is in the object part. Okay, the road was built. The road was built by whom? By whom? There is no subject here. I mean, there is no object in the sentence. Subject becomes the object. So here there is no object at all. So here also the doer of the action is not there. Hence, both these sentences are said to be in passive voice. Okay, so you might get a confusion. There is no object. How can it be possible? So about this, we'll be covering it up in the coming slides. Okay, so for time being, you just understand the receiver of the action will be in the subject part. The doer of the action will be in the object part. Okay, so she is doing some action on the letter. Okay, so that is in the subject part. That means the receiver is in the subject part. So that type of sentences are called as, are said to be in passive voice. Okay, let us go further. How to change it? There are few rules that we have to follow while changing from active to passive voice. So let us go through that. First, before that, we should understand where to use it. Okay, of course, it is left to the writers or the speaker's discretion when to use what. It is left to you. You can use active voice or passive voice, however you want. Okay, but there are some specifications, like whenever you are writing an article to the newspaper, you have to use passive voice or reported speech, they say. A passive voice and reported speech are not the same, but you prefer a passive voice whenever you are writing for a newspaper also. Okay, so there are few, I'll just tell you where to use it, then you can decide whether you want to use active or passive and you can use it. Okay, active voice actually sounds less awkward, means it is direct. The subject will be in the doer part, object will be receiver part, so you can speak directly. There is no confusion. Okay, you need not have to think for the formation of sentences. Okay, actually it sounds less awkward, so it gives a very clear meaning. Okay, Ram killed Ravan. It is so direct, you can understand it so easily. Okay, Ravan was killed by Ram, then you will start feeling, yes, why such a complex sentence? You can directly tell it like this. Okay, it's left to you whether you want to use a direct meaning wala sentence, or you can also just show off your language expertise and you can use passive voice also. That is also fine. Okay, so then this actually emphasizes, means gives importance to the subject, that is the doer of the action. It actually emphasizes on the doer of the action and not on the receiver of the action or the object of the sentence. Okay, it concentrates on the doer, not on the object. Okay, so that is about active voice. When we come to passive voice, whenever we don't know who has done it, or whenever we don't want to emphasize on who has done it, that is, we don't want to concentrate on the subject of the sentence, so then we use this passive voice. Okay, somebody has stolen something. Okay, somebody has stolen my wallet. Okay, so suppose I say my wallet was stolen, that is enough. You understand the meaning of it. You need not have to say my wallet was stolen by somebody. You need not have to say that somebody. You don't know who has done it. So whenever you don't want to specify on the object, okay, that is who has done it. Okay, you are specifying only on the object, or you are more concentrating on the action in the sentence. So that part, that situation, you use this passive voice. Okay, then we are interested, as I said, we are interested in what happens. Okay, we are interested in what happens, not on who has done it. Okay, we are concentrating only on the action that has happened. Okay, so then we use this passive voice and we are more concentrating, we are more concerned with the situation. Okay, we are more concerned with the situation rather than something else. Okay, so when we are describing the situation, we use this passive voice, and whenever we have a scientific process to describe, whenever the scientific process has to be described or mathematical derivation has to be described, then we use this passive voice. Okay, so these are the uses of active and passive voice. So it depends, whichever you want to use, you may use it. Okay, I'll just tell you mathematical and scientific process. I just gave you an example. When you want to derive some formula, okay, so you just say y is derived from x or something like that you have. So you cannot say I derived y from x. Okay, you just have to use it the other way. Y was derived from x or something like this. I'm just giving you an example. This might not be true, but the situation is correct. This is apt for what I'm describing. Okay, so whenever you're describing the scientific or mathematical derivation, then you have to make use of passive voice only. Okay, so let's go further to understand the rules that have to be followed. The most important rule is, the basic rule what you have to understand is, you have to interchange the subject and the object. Whenever you change from active to passive, you must interchange subject and object. We'll concentrate on subject and object only, not on any other word for time being. Okay, so here you can see Ram is the subject, Ravan is the object. Okay, Ram is the subject, Ravan is the object. Now what did I say? You have to interchange subject and object. So Ravan has gone to the subject part, Ram has come to the object part. Okay, so now Ravan is the subject of the sentence. Ram is the object of the sentence. Okay, so this is the most important rule you have to follow. Okay, so for any other sentence for that matter, okay, the cat drank milk also, the previous example what we saw there, the cat drank milk, here also you can change it like that only. Cat is the subject here, milk is the object. So cat is the subject, milk is the object. When you change it to passive voice, you change it this way. Milk was drank by cat. Okay, so cat becomes the object, milk becomes the subject. Okay, so this is the most important part. Okay, in between whatever we have changed, this verb, whatever we have changed, whatever we have added, all those we'll understand in the coming slides. Okay, for time being, you concentrate only on the subject and the object. Okay, next, we have to understand about the pronouns. Just now in the previous slide, what we saw, there were nouns in the subject and object part. But now we have to understand if there are pronouns in the subject and object part. So it will be changed in this way. Okay. So suppose we have this subject as the pronoun as a subject. Okay. We have changed it to object here. It will change to us. Okay. Again, noun will remain as it is. Okay. Again, a pronoun that has changed to her. Okay. Noun remains as it is, but only the position is changed. So, how do you understand that? How do you remember the change of pronouns? You have to follow this table. Okay. So, I changes to me, then we changes to us. Only you and it, they both remain as it is. Okay. So, all others, they change. Okay. Whenever you are changing from active to passive, this is the case. Whenever you are changing from active to passive, this is the case. Suppose you are changing from passive to active, it is the other way. You have to follow this way. When you are changing from passive to active. Okay, active to passive, this is the way you have to follow. So this is about pronouns. Fine. So let us now go further to understand about few verb rules. Okay, now we are coming to those words, okay, that is apart from subject and object, what are the changes we have to make in the sentence? So we have the changes what you have to make is dependent on the tenses, okay, the verb tenses, okay, you have this past, present and future. In each tense you have 4 different categories, okay, so based on that you have to make these changes. So what are those? Simple present, which you use for everyday work, what you do. Every day what you do, you use simple present. Like sun rises in the east, I go for a morning walk. That happens every day. So for that we use simple present. And whenever you are changing a sentence from active to passive, which is in simple present, you have to make these changes. You have to insert these auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are nothing but helping verbs. Okay, these are called as helping verbs or auxiliary verbs. Okay, you must be very careful to add these am, is and are. Then we have this past participle. What is past participle? You have this past tense of the verb here. Okay, there are few verbs wherein you just add ed and make it as past tense, like watch. Okay, you add ed, okay, and make it as past tense. So this becomes past tense. Watched is the past tense. Fine, there are few words which will have 3 verb forms, like give, past tense is gave, okay, and you have another form of verb also, that is given. Okay, there are many words like that, given, taken, done, all these. Okay, so these whatever you are seeing, they are all called as participle forms. Okay, they are all called as participle forms. Only those forms of verbs have to be used. For those words wherein these are not there, okay, few verbs, these do not exist. Only past tense, like watched, danced, killed, all these words, they just take ed in the end and they change to past tense. So for in such cases, you can use the same words. Okay, only those wherein such words exists, only there you have to use such words. If not, you can use the regular past tense only. Okay, we can discuss about this when you come back to class. Okay, so you can just make a note of it. Fine. So we'll come back to this now. we use this past participle form. As I said, am, is or are. With I, you use am. Okay, with I, you use am. Okay, with plural, you use are. With plural, you use are. Or maybe with you use are. Okay, otherwise singular, you use is only. He, she or it, and singular. Okay, with all these you use is. Fine. So in such cases, you will choose what auxiliary verb you have to use and then you will write. Since the subject is plural over here, object has become the subject, and I, in the previous slide we saw I changes to me. So here it is me, that is the object. And here, as I said, movies plural, so I have to use are watched. Past participle form is watched. Okay. Then again, when we go to simple past, okay, simple past tense, you just change only this. Past participle remains the same. Only this has to be changed, only to show that it is changed from a past tense sentence. Okay. So here I watched a movie. This is in past tense. Okay. So movie singular, so it will be was. Here plural, so I have used are. Here it is singular, so I have used was. Again, I changes to me. Only thing is, you just have to add by in the sentence. That is the way in which you can identify whether the sentence is in active or passive voice. Okay. If there is by, it is passive voice. If there is no by, then it is active voice. Okay. So here again, simple future, you will have this shall or will here. And again, you will use this past participle form. So this one also, the subject will be changed to object, that is by me. Then again, movie, that is in the subject part, singular. Again, will be is the same. Even if it is singular or plural, future tense will is the same. Okay. So here you can see will be and then watched. Okay. So this is about simple tenses. Okay. Simple past, simple present and simple future. We have few more tenses to understand. Continuous tenses also we have to understand. Let us go for that now. This is also very easy. One tense you understand, the all others are very easy. Okay. Continuous tense, only thing is you will have ing form of the verb whenever you have a sentence in continuous tense. Here you can see ing form is there. In all the sentence, ing form of the verb is there. And if it is am, it is present. If it is was, it is past. If it is will be, it is future. Okay. Now, how do you change it to passive voice? Everything is the same. Present tense, simple present and this both are same, but only addition is being. Okay. If it is continuous tense, whenever here ing is there, here you have to add ing. Otherwise, everything else is same. Okay. Movies are watched by me would have been there. Here, since it is ing form, being is added additional to that. Here also, I was watching a movie. Movie was being watched. Only this ing form is replaced by this being. Here it should be participle only. Here it should be participle form only. Fine. Here also, future continuous, I will be watching a movie. And here there is no passive form at all. You cannot change it to passive form because the verb form is such that you cannot change it to another verb form. There is no verb form that exists which has to be changed from active or future continuous to passive or future continuous. So you need not have to break your head. Just see the sentence. If it is will be watching, say there is no passive form. Even in your exam, if they give such a sentence, just say there is no passive form. Okay. So next we have few more tenses to understand, that is perfect tense. Okay. This is also very easy. Whenever you have this has or have, that tense is said to be in perfect tense. Has or have, then only it is said to be in perfect tense. Okay. Then past participle is the same. Extra addition is this been. Okay. So how do we identify here? The subject then have watched. This is in present perfect. If it is had watched, it will be in past perfect. Again future, you will have this word will. Will have watched. So all these sentences I am showing are in perfect tenses. Present perfect, have or has. Past perfect, only had. Okay. Then future perfect, only will have. Okay. How do you change it to passive voice? So when you change it to passive voice, only addition is this been. Okay. So you just have to say, suppose it is singular, you will use has. With I, you always use have. With I, you use have. Okay. Then you also, it is have only. Okay, so based on what pronoun you're using, you have to choose it. If it is she, he or it or any singular form, it will obviously be has. Okay, if it is plural form, or if it is we or they, then we will have it as have. Okay, so based on this, you can use the auxiliary verbs. Okay, actually these are also called as auxiliary verbs. Okay, they are helping verbs. Fine. So here you can see movie, this is singular. So you have to use, it is singular, so you have to use a has here. So has been used, and here been is the extra addition as I said. Then watched, participle form. So by me, that will be there, and today it is there. Okay, so whatever adverbs you are coming across, that has to be retained as it is in their own place. Okay, again the second sentence, had watched, it is in past perfect, only addition is been over here. Okay, so here again movie singular, past perfect, there is no change, had or whatever, even if it is singular or plural, there is only one form, that is had. Okay, had been watched, so been is the extra addition. Similarly here, will have watched, again will have been watched. Okay, so this way you change from perfect tenses to passive voice, active voice, perfect tense to passive voice, perfect tense. Okay, so that's it. And there are few more tenses which do not have passive forms. Which are those? These tenses do not have passive forms. Okay, apart from future continuous, these are the ones which do not have passive forms. All the perfect continuous tenses, will not have passive forms. I have just given you the structure of sentences which will not have passive voice. If at all the sentence structure is have plus been plus verb in ing form, then there is no passive voice. Okay, suppose it is had plus been plus verb in ing form, then there is no passive form. Will have been and verb in ing form, there is no passive form. So altogether we can say there is no passive form for perfect continuous tenses. Perfect continuous tenses, there is no passive form. Okay, there is no passive form. Fine, hope you understood this. Hope this is clear to you, isn't it? Okay, so what did we learn today? So we have learned about what is an active voice. If the doer of the action is in the subject part and the receiver of the action is in the object part, then that sentence is said to be in active voice. If the doer of the action has been changed to the object part and the object of the receiver of the action has been changed to the subject part, then that sentence is said to be in passive voice. Okay, so whenever you want the meaning to be clear and you want to deliver the direct meaning and you want to use a language which is less awkward, or you don't want to complex, you want to make your language very easy and not complex, then you use active voice. Suppose you are writing a report in the newspaper or writing about a scientific process or mathematical derivation, you use a passive voice. Or if you want to show your language expertise, then also you use passive voice. Okay, then we also have learnt about few rules that we have used to change the sentences from active to passive voice. Okay, so that's it. That's all about active and passive. We will have one more session about active and passive, wherein we will understand about some sentences wherein there will be two objects. Okay, so till now we learnt about sentences where there are only single objects. So in the next session, I'll meet you with the rules of sentences wherein we'll have two objects in the sentence. Okay, so that's all for today. Let us meet again in the next session with the active and passive, with the sentences having two objects in it. Okay, so see you soon, children. Please go through the lecture and understand so that your concept is clear. Okay, any doubts, you may just come back to me. Okay, so see you soon. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.